Monday, um, August 12th, 2024. It took me a second and I had to cheat. I had to look at my computer. Sorry, I'm going to try to speak up just a bit. Always have to remind myself in the morning, as I'm just not prone to. Morning's a sacred time. It's something that I talk about often. Fix my glasses here. Um, in the yogic Vedic Hindu tradition, it is across the board actually, every mystical tradition. Um, but in the Vedic terms, it's called the Brahma Muhurta, the hours of God, fluid time, corresponding to about an hour and a half before sun comes up to about 45 minutes afterwards, thereabouts. And should be really careful how we start a day, really careful how we, what we introduce into our minds, into our hearts so early. By careful, I don't mean something bad's going to happen. I mean that if we don't cultivate um, that sense of awe, that sense of astonishment, then we miss it for the rest of the day. It's hard to regain. So I like to start my day off with a prayer of thankfulness, and it is simply saying thank you for what appears. As soon as my eyes open, and what appears is an entire universe right here, right now. Entire universe residing for my existence to take place without a single thing for me to do. Pretty amazing. Um, and then it's breath work, it's meditation, it is yoga, it's coffee, and it's writing. And only then do I start introducing a little bit of news, a little bit of social media, catching up with my friends. Um, but I want to start off that morning with a clean slate and then introduce the morning with intentionality. It's the intent of living in sacred harmony with the Tao, with love, with God. We can only do that if we plant that seed in the morning. First thing, being careful. Our friend Jace is here. Jace, good morning. Excellent workout, my friend. I heard that thunder in the background. I'm going to bring up my desktop, and then we're going to dive in. We're going to read verse 74 from the Tao Te Ching. 1 second. There we go. All right, verse 74. Let me say good morning to my cat. Come strolling in. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. There is always a Lord of Death. He who takes the place of the Lord of Death is the one who cuts himself with a blade, is like one who cuts himself with a blade of a master carpenter. Whoever cuts with that blade of a master carpenter is sure to cut his own hands. It's an interesting passage. Let's unpack it just a little bit. First off, I think is pretty clear that if you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. That is the essence of Buddhism. The Buddha declared his Four Noble Truths, the moment of his awakening. It's been loosely mistranslated as life is suffering. Prescott's here. Prescott's F. Shumpleton is here. Hello, my friend. How are you? But the original language of the Buddha was, it was translated to from dukkha, which means not suffering, but unsatisfying, transient by its very nature. And that we suffer not because life is suffering, we suffer because life is change, and we seek to always hold on to that which is changing. We seek to grasp the ungraspable, and that leads to suffering. When people first read that, first passage from the Buddha, that life is suffering, again, mistranslated. They think, well, this is a very pessimistic path. Why would I want to follow Buddhism? However, again, he says, noble truth number 2, that we suffer because we're seeking to grasp the ungraspable, that we're seeking to hold the unholdable, to keep from changing the ever state of change itself. We can't do it, so we suffer. And then he gives us a way out of suffering. He gives us the Eightfold Noble Path, which is centered around right mindfulness, right meditation, right livelihood, right thinking. For me, as much as I love Buddhism, it just felt very clear and evident that my path was in yoga. And then, earlier on, A Course in Miracles. And it all speaks the same language, that yes, life is changing, and that yes, we suffer because we are seeking to hold to that which is changing. A Course in Miracles says, forgive. Forgive the changeable nature of the universe, and we are in harmony. It's what the Tao is saying. To be in harmony with the Tao, we accept that everything changes. We ourselves are changing, and which he goes on to say that if you're not afraid of dying, because that's going to happen, then you're free. There's nothing that you cannot achieve. Excuse me, guys. Now, that doesn't mean that we welcome death or that we're in any hurry for it. It just means that we accept the inevitable nature of life. If life equates to eventual death, what does death eventually equate to? We don't know. It's a great mystery. We can surmise. The Tibetan Buddhists have a map of what happens with consciousness the moment that we die. They call it the Bardo system. Bardo simply being a layer between layer between layer between layer. We enter a Bardo system, and then we continue the samsara, rebirth, death, rebirth, death. If we can retain a sense of consciousness as we die, we have a favorable rebirth. Again, it's a mystery. Who knows? I don't overly concern myself with thoughts of an afterlife. What I do like to think of is rebirth, which happens every moment. The me that started this conversation at 5 in the morning is not the same me that I am now. There have been certain cells in my body that have died and have been reborn already. Let's bring something up real quick. Let me get to my old-fashioned Google machine. Steve's here. Steve, how are you? And our friend Goldie is here. Goldie, good morning. Goldie says, good morning, lovely people. Good morning, lovely Goldie. How was your day off yesterday? So this is what I mean by rebirth. First is reincarnation. I often have people ask me, do I believe in reincarnation? I don't believe nor disbelieve. Eleanor Roosevelt said she finds it no more surprising that she could be reborn than she was born to begin with. However, it does me no good to contemplate reincarnation. Goldie says she was a bit under the weather. I'm sorry that happened on your day off. However, I'm glad that you were able to get some rest. So, Rumi, the wonderful, beautiful Persian Sufi poet, 12th century. This is his commentary, his poem on rebirth, which is different than reincarnation. Everything is going through a cycle of rebirth. My father passed away October 2022. And yet, already, the moment he passed away, the cells of his body began to reform. The molecules, the cells died, but the molecules became something else. The atoms became something else. The particles became something else. And that infinite energy that held it all together became what it already was and always will be, whatever that might be. We can call that the soul, essence, returning to the Tao, returning to the infinite ocean of consciousness. I don't know. We can call it whatever. What we call it is independent of what it actually is. Labels are never the thing. As Alan Watts said, you can't get wet by the word water. It's only the actuality of experience that matters. So again, here's Rumi. I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I was human. Why should I fear? When was I less by dying? Yet once more I shall die human, to soar with angels blessed above. And when I sacrifice my angel soul, I shall become what no mind ever conceived. As a human, I will die once more, reborn. I will with the angels soar. And when I let my angel body go, I shall be more than the mortal mind can know. Continuous process, becoming and ending and becoming and ending. And yet, the becoming itself never, never, never ceases. Let's see. Circus Soul says our energy is cast into the frequency of the universe. That could be. However, that sort of implies that our body, our energy now, is separate from the frequency of the universe. That we could any way, in any form, in any shape, in any vibration or frequency, be separate from the universe now. We may be vibrating at a human rate, but is that separate from the vibration of the universe itself? That a frequency is part of an ever greater frequency, meaning there can absolutely be no separation from anything. Going back to the analogy of waves and ocean, that a wave is a brief appearance, seemingly separate, having its own identity as a wave, and yet at no point is it ever separate from the ocean itself. And when the wave ceases to express itself as a wave, it simply merges back into the ocean. So that was Rumi, born and reborn. Checking my watch. I'm going to get out and do my morning walk soon. Jace, did you take your walk with Zena? Did you get out in the rain? I hope everyone is off to a good start of the week. Cody, I hope you're feeling better today than you were yesterday. And our friend Prescott, I hope you're having a good day in school, or I hope if you're done school, you had a good day in school. There's an article in the Associated Press that just came up, how a young generation in Bangladesh forced out the leader who ruled for much of their lives. Young generation. That's you, Prescott. That's what your generation did. Our friend Prescott is in Bangladesh. Jay says, it only started raining when I got back. Nice, I'm glad you missed it. Although, it's always nice to experience that summer rain. I get out no matter the weather condition. Some days might be a little shorter. Earlier last week, we had a tornado watch, so I was a little more careful when I went out. Up until this summer, I'd largely ignored the tornado warnings. What are the odds? Until in June, I had a tornado touch down actually in my backyard, and I heard it breaking in half trees, large trees that have been here since my childhood. So Jace put in his usual high energy workout. If anyone is looking for a way to get in shape, Jace brings this a unique quality, uh, very gentle and yet at the same time intense. It seems like a paradox, and yet Jace has somehow been able to merge those two to produce a very, very unique fitness system that will take you from wherever you are now to wherever you would like to be. Highly recommend um, going back, go to his channel, go back 16 weeks, and you can start where he started and work your way through. If you're in good shape and you're still looking for a system, you could start where he started right now and work alongside him. So again, that was verse 74. We have one more week of the Tao Te Ching, and then we will go on to whatever we go on to. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking for at least a week, I would like to um, go to Deepak Chopra's The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, which has been by my side, reading it at least 2 or 3 times a year um, since 1993 when it was published. And I had slightly strayed from, I still and occasionally would practice yoga, but not with the commitment that it deserves, that I felt that it deserved. I was in and out of meditation. I would meditate for days at a time, weeks at a time, and then I would skip days and weeks. Looking for a self-improvement book. I thought, well, what better way than combining my love of spirituality, my need of self-improvement, with a book called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. Little did I know what a trigger that would be. It is not a book of successful, how to succeed in business, how to succeed in life, although it can certainly help with that. It is a book of redefining success as how we live our life. It is 7 Vedic yogic principles, starting with the law of pure potentiality. It's a good law to start with in the morning on Monday. The law of pure potentiality, meaning what we can reimagine with our minds, we can bring into existence because of the law of pure potentiality. At one time, there was no universe, yet there was something. There was the absolute. You probably have a term that you like to use for the absolute, and it could be the term God, or consciousness, or the Tao, Buddha consciousness. Doesn't matter. There was the absolute in whatever concept we give it. And from that ever-present law of pure potentiality came an intent, came a whisper. That singularity of existence that they talk about in cosmology, quantum physics, there came a sudden urge, a whisper that said, expand. And from that absolute nothingness, an entire universe came into existence, creating everything it needed for the universe to exist. Imagine that. There was nothing there for the universe to exist in. There was no time. There was no space. There was no elements. There was no gases. Nothing in place for a universe to be until there came a need. An entire universe came around. In any way, do you think that law of pure potentiality no longer exists? We can still call it forth. What do you want to create in your life? Fitness, health, well-being, a life of inspiration and creativity that supports you? It's already there. It has to be. See, infinite law of potentiality already in place. There is a quote in the Talmud that above every great blade of grass, there were angels whispering, grow, grow, grow. Above every blade of grass, there are angels whispering, grow. Imagine how many angels right now are hovering around us saying, expand, grow, love, forgive, be. Let's see. Goldie says, she says, hi there to Circus. And Eric McCarty, to answer your question, me being under the weather, it was a mixture of lack of discipline and a natural physiological cycle. So the end result was a migraine. Oh, I'm really sorry. Mocha suffers from really bad migraines. Maybe once every 2 weeks or so, she'll be reduced to being in bed. But today was way better. Thank you for asking. You're welcome, my friend. Jace says, Eric, I struggle with the ideals and science. Is not sure either. I have my theory, as I've said before, creation was thus knowledge. And if that is the case, there are more species out there. I would agree. I don't struggle with science, as it's just another story told. It's another explanation, a very useful explanation of what is, but it's not every explanation. You know what I mean? It's just a version of a version of a version. And it's been incredibly useful because it's given us the means of you and I to communicate right now. It has given us everything from the invention of the chair that I'm sitting in, to the phone that I'm talking through, to my GPS watch, to the camera that I'll take out walking with me. However, a version of the story, however useful it might be, is never the entirety of the story itself. So I take the version, I take the helpfulness, but I don't let it define the everythingness. How could it? So yeah, I absolutely agree, Jace. As far as like more species, it's like saying, it would like saying, going back to that analogy of the ocean, it would be like saying to the ocean, are there only one kind of waves? Do you only do a wave in a certain size, shape, and form? And the ocean would laugh and say, I just simply wave. I produce waves, big waves, small waves, wave after wave after wave. And they all fall back into that original ocean of consciousness itself. They all fall back into the ocean. The ocean would laugh at the concept of there can only be one type of wave. So absolutely agree with my friend Jace, with our friend Jace. And again, that goes back to the law of pure potentiality. Why would we put a limit on the law of pure potentiality and say it can only create one species? Jace says, that just gave me a wave. And in that wave, I'm waving right back at you, my friend. Infinite wave of love after wave after love after wave after love. Endlessly so. Runner Boy is working out now, not live. When are you going to go live, Runner Boy? You going to go live tomorrow? All right, guys, I'm going to head out. I'm going to take my walk. I'm going to see what nature presents me with. Speaking of waves, nature will be waving something in my direction. Maybe it'll be a deer. Maybe it'll be a white egret that's been hanging out at my pond. Hopefully, maybe it'll be a fox and an owl. I absolutely love seeing foxes. I love seeing everything. I've mentioned before the importance of getting out in nature. And there's always nature. If you have a cloud in the sky, you're experiencing nature. If you have a sky, you're experiencing nature. One blade of grass, an ant. Goldie says, thank you for a lovely live stream and chat. Thank you for joining me, Goldie. Thank you for joining all of us. Jace says, be blessed, family. You as well, my friend Jace. I know I'm going to see you guys around the YouTube streets today. I'll be keeping an eye out. Hey, speaking of keeping an eye out, I've sent a few messages to our friend William, but I haven't heard back. Hope all is well with him. Keep an eye out. Encourage him. Been going through a difficult time. I don't know where he is or what he's doing, but I hope he's safe. Um, and sending love. Goldie said, "You did. How long ago?" We take a minute here. Goldie says he's still trying to make a plan. Well, man, that's difficult, and it's difficult to make a plan while you are. Goldie says 7 hours ago. Okay, is he still on the road? It is hard to make a plan when you are in the midst of a plan. I'd like him to find a place that he could be stable. Goldie says yes. I hope he talks with his family. I hope he can make some amends. I'd like to see him, again, in a place that is stable, and then he can decide from that point what he would like to do. There's all kinds of options. Applying for financial aid, going back to school, going to a grade school, looking for a someone that maybe he could do an internship. I don't know. I wish him well. I'll try to give him a call a bit later. Thanks for the update, Goldie. Let him know that I've sent him some message if you do talk to him. And I'm not sure that he'd like my, wasn't so much advice as it was, I don't know if you ever truly burn the bridges you think that you do. Sometimes, who was it? Who wrote the book? You can't go home again. Thomas, I can't remember his last name. Goldie says I just write to check in. And he answers. Okay, yeah, I've been sending him on Facebook Messenger, but he might be upset with me. We'll see. I'll give him a call. Thanks for the update, Goldie. Running Boy says I'm stopping in and out. Just listening to music for sets. Well, I appreciate you stopping in, Running Boy. Hope you have a good workout. I'll be looking for your updates and how it goes. Goldie, again, thank you. Jason, my friend, thanks for stopping in. Steven, as well as Circus. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to see everyone later. Take care.